Once again, hi everyone. Thanks for joining our webinar on how to effectively hire data scientists. Let me quickly make the instructions. So I am Neha. I look after product marketing in Interview Mocha. With me, I have Sagar, our customer success manager, and Vishal, who heads our engineering at MOCA. So in the past month or so, we saw a huge spike in queries from our customers for data science assessments. There were so many common questions that we thought it would be best to have a webinar to showcase how MOCA can help in identifying the best data science talent. So before we start, you all can ask questions through the Q&A at any point of time. And once we are done with the demo, we'll be taking all the questions at the end of the session. So without further delay, over to you, Sagar.
Hey, thanks, Neha. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining in for today's webinar. So I'll just quickly introduce myself. So I am Sagar. I work as a customer success specialist at Interview Mocha, and it's been like 18 months I've been working with Interview Mocha, and so up till now the journey has been good. Okay, so before I go ahead and start with the context of the today's session, I'll just quickly give you a glance of what Interview Mocha is all about. So I'm sure that everyone might be knowing, but still, Interview Mocha is the world's largest skill assessment API platform. So when I say skill assessment, we have like 1500 plus ready skills available onto our platform. And when I say API platform, so we do have first class integrations with the learning management systems, applicant tracking systems, and all that. Okay. So I'll just quickly set up an agenda for today's session. So I'll be speaking about what is data science and why it is an hot, a job position in the market today. I'll be talking about core data science skills, how Interview Mocha helps to assess data scientists. I'll be quickly taking you through a product demo, which would be again the complete demo of the platform where I'll be creating an sample assessment. I'll be quickly taking you through the skill library, whatever we have onto the platform. After that, I'll be giving you a short, a brief on what are the new features for this month. And following that, we'll be having a live Q&A session where I'll be addressing all the questions for today's session. So as we all know, in today's world, data science has been the booming topic, or you can say a trending job role into the market. But why is it only data science being the trending job role into the market? It's because in today's world, information has been, processing every day. It's not just the data which is being processed, but it is also created day by day. So if you go ahead and Google like how much data is being generated every day, you get to see something 2.5 quintillion bytes of data is being generated every day. Seriously, I don't even know, how big this data actually is. So as I said, like, we live in a data rich environment. The processing power of this data has changed. AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning algorithms have also been matured to process this huge amount of data. So in today's session, I'll be quickly highlighting you how Interview Mocha is helping organizations to assess candidates on data science skills for these job roles. Okay. So let's move on to the core data science skills. So when you look at data science, it is majorly divided into three parts, or you can say three sectors. So it's like technical skills, mathematics and statistics, which is again a mandatory part of a data science, and domain knowledge like machine learning algorithms, data extraction, deep learning, data wrangling, and algorithms. Okay. So when it comes to technical skills, it is a mandate part for a data scientist to, actually get familiar through the technical skills like Python, R programming, Apache Spark, again, which is a tool which has been developed for data scientists, and SQL to manipulate with the data. Again, when it comes to mathematics and statistics, it is altogether a different subject, like statistics for machine learning, statistical modeling, and all that. And when it comes to domain knowledge, again, that is the mandate part of a data science, where candidates should be aware about machine learning algorithms, like how and when to use these algorithms, and on what data set to use these algorithms, and all that. Okay. Now moving on to MOCA's data science skill library. Okay, so this is an brief, or you can say a major segregation of skills available onto the platform. So we have divided our data science skill libraries into these 6 parts. That is, we have computer science skills like Python, R, Java, SQL, Hadoop, which is being used as a big data tool, Apache Spark, and data structures and algorithms. So when I say we have segregated our skill library onto these major parts, it means that we do have questions like multiple choice questions on all these 6 buckets, as well as coding simulation includes in these buckets as well. So we do have, machine learning algorithms on supervised learning, unsupervised learning. A part of mathematics and statistics is also available onto the platform. We do provide coding simulations on uh, sklearns, pandas, Python numpys, and matplotlib. Again, that is an R library. And again, we do have a couple of question banks on machine learning concepts like data pipeline, pattern recognition, anomaly detection, and all that. So this is an overall view of how data science looks within the platform. Again, so this is a sample candidates report. On the right hand side, you can see where you get to see the proficiency level at each and every skill available into the assessment. So let's say if I have created an assessment which includes these 6 sections, ranging from mathematics, statistics to machine learning, again, coding simulations, data pipeline, and all that. So for each and every topic onto the assessment, you get to see the proficiency level of a candidate. Okay, so that's presented onto the screen on the candidate report. So apart from that, what all analytics you get from the candidate report to the platform? So that is the skill proficiency level of a candidate at each section. That is the section level analysis, section wise score of every candidate, again question level analytics, that for each and every question, what was the time taken, how a candidate tried to use a particular algorithm, and all that. Again, we do provide a code replay in terms of coding simulations, and also into a candidate report, proctoring details will also be available. Again, that is part of a remote proctoring feature. So what I'll do is, I'll just quickly share my screen, my browser window, and I'll move on to the Interview Mocha platform, and I'll just give you a short demo, like how to create an assessment onto the platform in terms of a data science job role, and what are the best practices to create an assessment, and all that. Okay. So now I have moved down to the Interview Mocha platform. So here you can see these are the ready skills available for data science. Okay. As these are the skill-based assessment, also the best part of the platform is where we can create our customized assessments. Okay. So when I say customized assessments, each and every organization will be having their own job roles or job requirements for a particular position. In that case, you need to go ahead and create a customized assessment. So let's start creating one of the assessment. Okay, so when it comes to data science, I'm pretty sure, there are, again, the data science field is divided into multiple job positions. So briefly, if I, segregate those, one is for data researchers, okay, where they need a familiarity, or you can say a streamlined knowledge on data wrangling or data extraction part. But when it comes to data engineers, again, those guys need a knowledge on data manipulation, like they need to get aware about the machine learning techniques, the machine learning algorithms, because again, they have to go ahead and create a machine learning model on that. Okay, so in terms of these, I'll just quickly pick one example and create an assessment for a data engineer. So I click on create new test button. Let's say I type in a data science test and I create one. Now, once this assessment is created, the next part is referring to your job description or whatever requirement you have at your hand, and then start adding skills to this particular assessment. So I click on add skill. Okay. Again, there are two buckets where you can pick questions from. One is Interview Mocha skill library, which includes 1500 plus ready skills. One is my questions, where you can add your own questions to the platform and then assess candidates on the same. So as I said earlier, we have question types ranging from multiple choice to coding for databases, that is SQL Server, logic box, and a video interview question. I select multiple choice, as I'll be adding a couple of multiple choice questions to this test. Oh, let me just refresh this page, log in again. Yep. So I'll just reopen the test which we just created, that is the data science test. And I again click on add skill. I select the multiple choice option and I click on select skill. Now I type in the skill I'm looking for. So let's say machine learning. Okay, so here you can see the complete skill library which is available onto the platform for machine learning. Okay, so let's say I pick up some basic questions. Click on select questions. So again, there are two ways of selecting questions. One is the automated way, where system will pick a couple of random questions for you. Next is the manual way, where you have to specify which questions you want the candidates to appear in. So for now, let's select automated. And on the right hand side, you can see the number of questions available. So let's say I pick two questions from machine learning basic. I set the time at 4 minutes and I save this particular skill. So here you can see we have just added one skill to this particular assessment. So in a similar format, you can have multiple skills and sections added to the format depending on your requirement. So let's say I go ahead and quickly add one more skill. Let's say deep learning. I create a new section. I select two questions from easy bucket. I select two from medium bucket and one from hard bucket. Okay. And I click on save. Now I move on to add a logic box question. Again, logic box is something, a pseudo coding platform where in terms of coding simulations, candidate does not have to write the entire code for a given problem statement. They can just, fill in a couple of missing snippets from the code, and based on those snippets, the evaluation is being done. So I type in data science. I select one from easy and one from medium. Okay, again, I set the time, let's say 15 minutes for this particular section, and I click on save skill. Now we have created two sections which include multiple choice questions on machine learning basics and deep learning, and two logic box questions into this particular assessment. Now the last part would be adding a coding simulation question to this particular assessment. I select the category as coding and I type in data science. So here you can see the coding skill libraries we have available onto the platform. Okay, so let's say I select data wrangling and I click on select questions. So these are the coding questions available onto the platform for data science. Let's say I select one, this one. I select the programming language as Python 3 and Python 2.7. I click on save. So now you can see the assessment is being created. That is the structure, which includes 4 sections. One is for machine learning basic, deep learning, which includes multiple choice questions for the first two one. Again, it is a data science logic box question, the third section. It is a pseudo coding platform. And the last one would be a coding simulation question on data wrangling and correction. Okay, so this way you go ahead and create an assessment. So once the assessment is done, you can just quickly preview it once. So this is how the assessment will look like to a candidate. So this is the instructions tab. I move on with the assessment. These are the questions. That is for the first section, machine learning. I submit this one. I start with the next section. You can see all the questions you can attempt. Now this is a logic box question. So on the left hand side, you can see the problem statement. A sample data set is being provided. And on the right hand side, a sample script, or you can see a pseudo script has been provided. And there are a couple of blanks missing onto this. So it is expected to a candidate to fill in these blanks that is missing from this particular snippet. And what to fill, these instructions are provided here. Okay, so based on this, the evaluation of this question is being done. I submit this. Now let's move on to the coding part. So a complete problem statement for a question is being given on the left hand side. Okay, what is expected out of this problem statement? A sample data set is also being given. And on the right hand side, you can see the coding editor where candidate can actually write their own code. Okay, so this is a kickstart code, that is a code stub available to a candidate, and they have to do a logic or write a logic, correct logic for this particular data set or manipulate this data. So once the candidate writes the code, there is an functionality where they can compile this particular code and check if the code written is correct or if there are some sort of errors into this particular script. Okay, so this was all about the coding platform. Now let's move on how the recruiters are going to actually invite the candidates for this particular assessment. So they need to jump onto the invite tab, create a new link. So when it comes to inviting candidates, there are two ways. One is an email invite where an email will be sent through the system. Next would be an open link URL. Okay, so let's say I check email, I give it a name as testing, and I save it. So here on this box, you can just enter the email addresses of the candidates by comma separated, and at a time you can invite 100 candidates. Just below that is an auto follow-up feature for the assessment. In case if a candidate doesn't appear in a specified duration, system will automatically send some follow-up reminders. You can set an access time for this assessment. So you can keep it as number of days. Time-bound assessment, that is you need to specify the start date and time of the assessment as well as the end date and time of this assessment, or else you can select a slot-wise invite where you need to provide the date slots and the time slots. So this was about the access time of a link. Next would be proctoring settings, where you decide if the assessment should be proctored or no. So in case of proctoring, we have two features, that is image proctoring and a video proctoring. Again, it is mandatory for a candidate to have webcam attached to their system in case of proctoring. And the last one is an option where you can enter the email address of the stakeholders or of someone whom you want to get notified about this particular assessment. So once these invites are done and candidates appear for the assessment, next part is checking their reports. So let me move on to one sample assessment, which is created in prior. So here you can see, I'll just quickly take you through the structure of the assessment. So this particular data science test includes these 6 sections. So let's check for math. So for mathematics, we have statistical machine learning questions. Again, these are the multiple choice questions and statistical modeling questions. If I move down to the machine learning part, so from machine learning, it includes machine learning basic questions, supervised learning, again, it is a part of machine learning, and regression analysis. So these questions basically depend on machine learning techniques. If I go down in terms of programming, we have questions on Python NumPy, that is the Python library, and Python Pandas. Again, these two libraries are used for data science, you can say coding simulations. Next, a couple of questions on data pipeline and deep learning. And last, a data wrangling question. Again, this is a coding simulation question. So in this way, this particular assessment or the structure of this assessment has been created. Now let's move on to the reports part. So here you can see these are the reports of the candidates who have appeared for this particular assessment. So let me pull up one report. Yeah, so this is the candidates report. On the left hand side, you can see all the general details of the candidates like name, email address, date and time when he appeared for the assessment, the name of the test, the status, and all that. And when you come to the right hand side, you can see a score analysis meter, the actual overall score of the test. If you go down, you get to see the segregation of the skill level score, or you can say the skill section score analysis. So here you can see for this particular section, that is mathematics, he scored 80%. In machine learning techniques, he is on 60%. For programming, that is Python, NumPy, and Pandas, he is 100%. For data pipelining and deep learning, he is on again 150%. For data wrangling, that is the coding part, he is 67% proficient. So the proficiency is provided into the candidate report. If I go down, I get to see a detailed analysis of each and every section onto the assessment, like the number of questions, which were the sections or skills mentioned in those particular sections, and all that. Now, if you need to check the detailed question level analysis, you move down to the questions tab. And you can see for each and every question, the candidate's response, time taken to answer this particular question, the win chance, and violation count. So for each and every question which was available onto the assessment, you get to see these details. So if I move down and check each and every question. So this was the last part of the assessment where you can see a data wrangling question that was based on coding simulation. You can see this was the problem statement, the candidate response to this particular question. You get to see the compilation status. Was it successfully compiled or no? You get to see the number of compilations and the test case inputs and outputs. Okay. Also, in terms of coding question, as I mentioned earlier, you get to see the code replay. So if you go ahead and play this, you get to see a snap of the candidate screen, like how he tried to code and all that. And these purple marks which are mentioned are the instances of compilation. So for each purple mark, you get to see what was the status of the compilation of the candidate's code. So moving ahead from the questions tab, now if you need to check down the proctoring details in terms of coding questions, proctored assessment, you move down to the proctoring details and get to see all the captured images of the candidate. Again, this feature is beneficial in terms where you are having a remote assessment for the candidates. All right, so this was all about the candidates report, the test creation part, and the candidate invitation. Also, the best part of the platform is you can have compared multiple candidate reports. So let's say I add this report for comparison, I this one and this one, and I click on compare. So this is how the platform would give you a recommended candidate. So if you come down, you actually get to check what was the proficiency level of candidate. And based on the candidate score, system will recommend which is the best candidate out of these three candidates. All right, so this was all about end-to-end from creating an assessment, that is the structure of the assessment based on the data science job role or requirement clients have. Next, going ahead with the candidate invitations, inviting the candidates for these assessments. Once the candidate appear, you go ahead and check the section level analysis and figure out like which section was performed better, which was not. So for each and every section, you get to see all the analysis. You also get to see the question level details of a candidate, the code replay feature. You also get to see the analysis of coding question in terms of the compilation status, the time consumption of the candidate's code, the memory consumption of the candidate's code, and all that. Okay, so this was all about creating assessments for a data science role. Now let's move on to the new feature which will be released onto our platform, that is the data visualization module. Okay, so for the data science assessment, we are planning to have a data visualization module where in terms of huge data, again, to read this particular data, again, it is a big challenge. So in terms of that, again, this particular module, that is data visualization, which plays an important role for a data scientist, we are planning to launch this feature onto our platform where candidates are given a data set and are expected to have some sort of visualization out of this code. So this will be the new feature onto the platform very soon. Yeah, so this was all about today's session. Neha, I'm open to the question and answers.
Thanks, Sagar. That was great. So moving on to the questions, we do have questions from our participants. So the first question is Andrew wanted to know what is logic box.
Mhm. Okay, so that is an interesting question from Andrew. So let me emphasize on Logic Box first. So I'll just compare the Logic Box functionality onto the platform with the coding simulation we already have. So when it comes to Logic Box or a coding simulation, so let's speak about coding simulation first. So what happens in terms of coding simulation? It is a mandatory for a candidate to write the entire code from scratch for a given data set, and based on that particular code, the system will compile it and throw some output to the candidate. Okay, but when it comes to logic box, so it is not entire the coding process, but the code snippet will already be provided to a candidate, but there will be a couple of statements into the code snippet, or you can say the logical statements, which will be missing out of that code, and what is expected from the candidate will be mentioned in the problem statement. So based on that, once the candidate fill up those particular blanks, okay, the candidate's response will be evaluated. So in terms of logic box, how the evaluation takes place is, so suppose, let's say if a candidate types in the correct answer, but he misses on some particular statement, in that case logic box will consider that particular thing, that the statements is logically correct, but again when it comes to syntax and semantics, that will be ignored. So if you are going ahead and checking the logic of a particular candidate, in that case, we would recommend you to use the logic box questions. And when it comes to end-to-end evaluation of the candidate's abilities in terms of writing the entire code and all that, you can go ahead with the coding simulations. I hope, Neha, I was able to answer.
Yes, Sagar. So the next question is from Namita. So the question is, after the completion of the data science assessment, do the candidates also receive the report?
Okay, so again, that is a great question, but this is a functionality of the platform where you can keep it at flexible. So let's say if you don't want the candidates to receive the report of the assessment, you can choose that. Or else if you want the candidate to get aware about the results, you can also do that. So it is a two-way. You can select as per your requirement.
All right. And Andrew has another question. So can the candidates set time to solve the questions as per their interest?
No, so when these assessments are curated or the structure of these assessments are defined, at that moment itself, you set the timer for a particular section. So, it is not up to the candidate's ability to change the time of the section. It is only the test creator who would set the time for a particular test.
Right. So, sir, the next question is, how do we make sure that the candidate is not cheating or not accessing any website while giving the test?
Okay, so when it comes to remote assessments, that is, the candidate is not in front of you; he is appearing for the assessment remotely. So in that case, we have a couple of cheating prevention techniques onto the platform. So I would say in this particular case scenario, where if you are tracking down if a candidate is going to some other website, in that case you can monitor the window violation count. So what will happen is, for each and every instance he tries to move out of the test platform, he will be warned. And even if he still moves out of the test platform, in that case, that instance will be captured as a window violation. And for how many seconds he was out of the test platform, that particular time count will be counted as a time violation. So again, it goes hand in hand.
Uh, okay, all right. Uh, then Patrice has a question that how do we know that the questions in the assessment are genuine?
Okay. So speaking about the questions, so when it comes to question creation, so we have a question creation process in line at our end. So we have like 500 plus SMEs working with us. So these questions are created by our subject matter experts. Okay. So based on their expertise, these questions are curated. The difficulty level of the question is also assigned based on their knowledge. Apart from that, we do calculate the difficulty index of each and every question. So again, there is a complete process of question reliability, which we carry out on our end.
All right. And for data science, what are the libraries that are supported?
So in terms of coding simulations, currently libraries for Python, those are, you can see NumPy, Pandas. For R programming, we have Matplotlib, uh, sklearn. These are the libraries which are supported by the platform.
Okay. Then there is an interesting question by Harry. So what he's saying is we are into creating training programs for data science. So in that case, can they have questions that are mapped with their courses?
Mm, yes, so I guess this is an interesting question, and we have been, actually we have been doing this particular activity with a couple of our clients. What we do is, in that case, and what happens in learning and development spaces, they have their own courses. So let's say they have their own courses, content for data science. But again, assessment is a big challenge. So in that case, what we do is our subject matter experts go through the entire content, that is the courses, each and every course which belongs to data science. And based on those courses, we curate some questions which are relevant to that particular course. So the question creation or the content creation is taken, is taken part by the Interview Mocha team. And again, these assignments will be down on the Interview Mocha platform.
All right. Then we have another question. Is the test score, the overall test score, revealed to the candidates during the test?
Again, there is an option to reveal the overall score of the assessment to a candidate. So there is an option. If you opt out not to show the entire score, then you can do that. But if you want to show the entire score of the assessment to the candidate while they are appearing, you can also do that. So that is a flexible setting. And that will be, actually set up during the test creation. So that depends on the test creator.
Okay, all right. Then we have another question that is it possible to create a quiz for any of the data science topics in your platform?
Yes, they can go ahead and use the questions and create assessments for the quiz. But again, that won't look like a quiz competition. It would be an assessment at the end.
All right. And if some customers, if they have their own data science questions, can they combine this with our Intermocha questions and create a test?
Yes, of course. So we do have a functionality where we allow our clients to add in their own questions and use those questions into the assessment. Also, the best part is you can have a combination of interview mocha questions plus your own questions onto the assessment.
All right. Uh, okay. One more question. Neil is asking, how does the evaluation process work for data science assessment?
Okay. So again, there are two ways. In terms of multiple choice questions, the evaluation would be done by the system itself. That is for a correct, sorry, I mean to say for a question, there would be multiple options in terms of multiple choice question, and there would be a correct answer assigned. Okay. So based on the candidate's response, those questions are evaluated. When it comes to coding questions, in that case, the coding question will be evaluated based on the test cases. So for a coding question, there are 5 test cases which are rewarded. So if, let's suppose, all the 5 test cases are correct through the candidate score, in that case, they get 100% score. But if the test is evaluated partially, in that case, they would get a partial score. So again, that depends on how the test structure is.
All right. And the test cases, I mean, the results of that, is it shown in the reports?
Yes, so everything will be available onto the candidate report. So for each and every test case which is evaluated, we get to see the compilation status, the time consumption, and the memory consumption of the candidate score.
All right, that's good. Sagar, one more question. Okay, we already taken that. So that the question was, what is logic box? That I think we already done. All right. So one more question is, how many candidates can take the test at a time?
Mm, okay, so if the question is regarding, the performance testing of the platform, like how many candidates can take the assessment simultaneously, I guess Vishal would be the right person to answer this.
Vishal?
So
Sorry,
Vishal, over to
Neha,
you.
can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, Vishal. So the question was, how many candidates can take the test at a time?
Okay, so as per the last load testing that we have done on the platform, it's around 2,000 candidates that can take a test at the same time within a minute, I would say. and we are still making some changes in the platform in the infrastructure so that the count of the concurrent test takers can be more than 2000. So as of now, it's 2000.
All right, that's great. So Sagar, another question, would you recommend having this test on mobile, data science test on mobile?
So personally, I won't recommend to have these assessment on mobile, but when it comes to the online testing platform, okay, so MOCA platform do support mobile assessments, but when it comes to data science assessment, again, the coding simulation is going to be the primary part of this assessment. And for the better candidate experience, coding simulation questions are not supported by the mobile platform. Hence, we recommend to have data science assessments on the laptop or the computer platform only.
Okay. I think we have answered all the questions over here. Okay. All right, Sagar. Thank you all. You have been a wonderful audience, and we'll be sharing this recording with everybody. And you'll also get a link for all the questions that were asked and the answers to it. And apart from that, we'll also be sharing 3 or 4 best data science resources that we have created for you. All right. Uh, Thank you and have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
It was a
Sagar. Thanks,
pleasure having
Vishal.
you. Thanks, Nia.